Richard Hatfield was born in Woodstock on April 9, 1931. He grew up in nearby Hartland, the son of a member of Parliament, an agricultural entrepreneur, and one-time mayor of Hartland. Hatfield started school at Rothsay Collegiate Private School before returning to Hartland to finish his studies. In 1956, Hatfield was granted a law degree from Dalhousie University and admitted to the bar. But that practice was short-lived. He took a position with Industry and Trade of Canada and held that through 1957 and 1958. In 1958, he became the sales director at Hatfield Industries. Hatfield entered the political scene in 1961 when he was elected as MLA for Carleton, replacing former New Brunswick Premier Hugh John Fleming. Hatfield was then chosen leader of the Progressive Conservative Party of New Brunswick in 1969. He and the PCs formed government in November of 1970 after defeating Louis J. Robichaud's Liberals. Among his achievements, Hatfield promoted both linguistic communities in New Brunswick. He was the premier who created two distinct school systems, Anglophone and Francophone.
His instincts, there's nobody even close in this province to have the political instincts this fellow had.
He also, of course, worked very hard to give the Acadians in New Brunswick a bigger place in the sun.
In 1982, he also adopted the bill recognizing the equality of the two linguistic communities of New Brunswick, English and French, or Bill 88. Even though he was Anglophone, he received the support of the French community because he continued the spirit of the Equal Opportunity Program started by the previous Robichaud government.
So there was an expectation when Richard came into power that he probably would reverse the program of equal opportunity. Well, he didn't. In fact, he enhanced it.
And it was fairly soon winning support, a lot of support from the Acadian Francophone parts of the province.
He was loved up there. People in the North Shore. He was comfortable. He was like sitting in the midst of a whole lot of people who were speaking another language, and he was at home.
Robichaud often described Hatfield as a worthy political adversary, but not a political enemy.
He was known at that point to be somebody that thought that a lot of what Louis Robichaud had done was good.
Hatfield did have his share of mishaps during his 17-year tenure as premier. The Bricklin fiasco, in which the Hatfield government tried to create an auto industry in the province, cost New Brunswick taxpayers millions of dollars.
It was some project that he got very much involved in. He was photographed getting in and out of the cars and the first models that were made. It ran into difficulties, labor difficulties, but more particularly lack of skill, labor difficulties, more particularly parts, engineering difficulties. The bill went up.
The reason that the Bricklin did not succeed was not Richard's fault or the government of New Brunswick. It was the federal government that refused to get on board with the same support that they were giving to other companies, Ford and Chrysler and everything like that in Canada. Even though they were employing more than 1,000 people in St. John to build the thing, a lot of people who are in the know believe that the Bricklin could have succeeded.
Hatfield's biggest scandal happened in the fall of 1984 when he was charged with possession of marijuana. The controversy shook government members, creating tension between the rank and file of the Progressive Conservative Party long after the court appearances.
So we instinctively said, Richard, why don't you resign? It's time to go. It leaked out that we were there, and the media got hold of the fact that we were offside. Once it did, to avoid trying to fudge and cover it up, we just said yes and went with it, and then we became public figures because of it.
It was clear that, it was coming apart for him politically, and the chickens were coming home to roost.
Richard himself never was vindictive.
He faced trial in January of 1985 and was acquitted. His unique personality attracted extra attention during his life. In political circles, Hatfield was a mysterious wild card, but he kept his personal life quiet. Hatfield's Conservatives ruled the province until 1987. All of that changed quickly when Frank McKenna's Liberals swept the fall election, taking all 58 seats.
I think he had achieved just about everything that he had set out to do. And it was, you know, he didn't want to resign and walk away from the party before the election or anything like that.
Hatfield was named senator in 1990, but served less than a year. Richard Hatfield died at the age of 60 on April 26, 1991, from brain cancer. He was always a proud New Brunswicker. Other than his political duties, Hatfield served as director of the Canadian Council of Christians and Jews. He was also an honorary member of the New Brunswick division of the Canadian Red Cross Society and the Provincial Council of the Boy Scouts of Canada. As New Brunswick Premier, he received the honorary title Chief Rolling Thunder from the Mi'kmaq Maliseet Nations. His unwavering promotion of his native province was ever present. For this, and for having unified the two distinct linguistic communities of New Brunswick, Richard Bennett Hatfield is one of the 12 New Brunswick greats.